Hey fashionistas, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to draft a 6-panel mermaid skirt. So what you need for this tutorial is the pattern for a skirt, just a basic skirt pattern, and that can be found on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to firstly take our pattern and I'm going to measure the width at which our dart starts. Here you see me measuring about 3.5 inches inwards. I'm going to take that 3.5 inches and I'm going to measure inwards at the bottom of our skirt pattern. I'm then going to make a couple markings at these points and I'm going to use my ruler to basically connect the points with a straight line. I'm going to then label my skirt front, center front and side front. Next, I'll be taking these same measurements over to my front panel, because remember we have a front and back skirt panel. After this, after making my markings, I'm going to go ahead once more and connect these lines with my ruler. This process is basically to split our skirt panel into 6 pieces, 3 for the front and 3 for the back. So center front will be on fold and then our 2 side front pieces along with the center back and the 2 side back pieces, 6 in total. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut along this line that I just marked out all the way to the top, separating this pattern into 2 pieces. So after we've done cutting, the next step is to remove our darts. So we had placed front and back darts and we're going to remove this so as to avoid any bulkiness in our skirt. So usually when we sew our darts, there is 1/2 inch to about 1 inch of fabric on the inside, so we want to avoid this with this pattern. So we're going to remove the darts completely and then add some seam allowance to that dart point and then join the darts together. So here I'm going in finally and labeling my skirt patterns, and we're going to move on to creating our 6-panel skirt. So this 6-panel skirt will also feature a mermaid train as well as the insertion of a godet at the back of our mermaid dress. Wow, like this skirt is just so voluminous and so luxurious. The fabric that was chosen for this skirt is a mix of both cotton and spandex, so it's super stretchy. It hugs the curves, it hugs the body down to the knees, and then it flares out and gives that mermaid effect. So yes, I'm going ahead and I'm cutting this out once more. So anything that was done to the front panel, we're going to repeat that on the back panel, and let's go. So now that our patterns are ready, we're going to then take these pattern pieces and add them to a fresh new lining of pattern paper. As you can see, I'm taking my center front and I'm placing it along the edges of our pattern paper, and I'll just be using some tape to hold this down. You can use pins, you can use weights, whatever you so desire. I'm going to use some tape because I'll be using this pattern to assist me with creating my mermaid skirt. So with this basic skirt pattern, it goes all the way down to the knee or the thigh depending on the length of your pattern. Basically it goes down to the knee, and our mermaid skirt extends way beyond this, so we'll definitely need to add that extension to our skirt panel. So I'm just taking my pencil and I am outlining this pattern all the way around, including the darts, and I'm going to then go ahead and measure it. My tape measure is a bit out of focus here, but this measure is about 25.5. Here we go. So it measures 25.5 inches long, and that's usually above our knees. So that's the point that I'd like it to be flared. So we're going to go ahead and work on our flared for our 6-panel mermaid skirt. So after I've taken this 25.5 inches measurement, I'm going to then decide how wide I'd like my skirt flare to be and how long as well. So the extension would go down to about 60 inches long, and I'm going to basically extend my tape measure to its full capacity, which is 60 inches, and I'm going to make a marking on the pattern paper. I'm then going to connect these points from the knee down to the full length of our skirt, and I'm going to do this by extending the 3.5 inches wide skirt pattern that we have up top, and then using a straight line to basically extend this. Next, we're going to determine how wide we'd like our flares for each panel. I've decided on a width of about 10 inches, so I'm going to take my tape measure and mark 10 inches inwards. I'm then going to go ahead and connect this line to center front using my ruler. After I've done this, I'm then going to go back up top at my knee point, that's the 25.5 inches where our skirt panel ended, and I'm going to just make a slight marking here just to indicate where I want my flare to begin. I'm then going to go ahead and connect these points starting from my knee all the way down to the floor where we made our extension. As you can see, the flare is already being formed, and this is exactly how we want our flare to look. Very wide at the bottom and narrow at the knee point. I'm then going to go down and measure this extension. Here you can see it measures 23 inches long, and I'm just going to take my tape measure and slide it across to our new side panel. And I'm going to measure that same 23 inches. So we want our panel to be perfectly straight, so we don't want one side to be longer than the other, because remember, this is a somewhat skewed line that we had drawn. So we're going to take this measurement and we're going to just connect these points together so as to ensure that the bottom of our skirt is straight. So once we've done this, we're going to move along on to our next panel. So we worked on the center front, now we're going to work on the side front panels, and for this panel we're going to basically draft one panel to be cut in 4 pieces. So this makes up the bulk of our 6-piece or 6-panel mermaid skirt. So this is the side front panel, and we're going to just do the same, which is to outline the panel as we did before. So here you can see I'm taking my pencil and I'm just marking all the way around, ensuring to make any notches, any markings to indicate any darts, any cutting instructions that may be needed. So this is the bottom of my skirt panel. We are focusing on the knee portion. So this is the knee, and I'm going to just square down with my ruler to make that same extension that we did when we worked on our front panel. So after we've made that extension at the center of our pattern, we're going to do the same to the side of our pattern. So here we'd want the flare to be on both sides, because this fabric will not be cut on fold when compared to our center front, which will be cut on fold. So we're going to do this to the other side. So we did it to the front and now we're doing it to the side. So you should have 2 parallel lines extending all the way down on your pattern paper. So we're going to go to the extreme end of these lines that we created, and we're going to measure them once more. So at this point I decided I wanted to extend my skirt panels a little bit longer, so I'm going to add 2.5 inches. Here you can see me marking 25.5 inches when compared to the initial 23 inches. I will definitely go back and make these changes on my front panel skirt that we worked on. So our new extension is 25.5 inches. So it's entirely up to you how long you'd like this extension to be, depending on your client, yourself, whatever your height is. Also keep in mind that we are creating a wedding dress, and so this will need to be at a comfortable length to ensure that the bride can, walk comfortably in her dress without tripping, without having to, lift it up in any way, shape or form. So next I'm going to create the extensions on both sides of this panel that I had created. As you can see, it looks like a rectangle. So I'm going to go on each side and I'm going to measure out about 7.5 inches. So here again, it's entirely up to you how wide you want your panels to be. You can have a standard size or standard measurements for your extensions. You can make some panels wider than others depending on the look that you're going for. So here I'm measuring 7.5 inches on both sides, and then I'm going to connect this with my straight ruler. I'm then going to go back up to my knee point once more and connect this line all the way down to the floor. So after you've done this, we're then going to go on our vertical line here and measure that same 25.5 inches long extension. And we're going to do this on both sides. As I mentioned before, it is to ensure that the hem of our skirt is completely straight, completely horizontal. One side isn't drooping longer than the other, and to ensure that our pattern fits perfectly. So I'm then taking my hip curve and I'm going to align the straighter edge of my curve with the straight edge of the pattern, and then slightly curve upwards onto that new point that we had created. The pattern is coming along nicely, and you can see that the flares are just so beautiful. Imagine this flare on a dress, on a skirt. Like, the end result is going to be so amazing, guys. Please stay tuned to the channel to see how I actually sew these patterns together and how I just incorporate all of these tutorials into making the wedding dress. So check out the wedding dress series on the channel. I'd really appreciate it if you left a comment. Let me know if you followed this tutorial. Let me know if it was helpful to you in any way, and let me know what you think of the results. Next, I'll be adding some instructions to my skirt panel. I'm going to be indicating where seam allowance should be added, either on the pattern itself or when you're cutting out your fabric. Because of the bulkiness of this pattern paper, I cut around the edges excluding seam allowance. So I'll be sure to include this when I'm cutting out my pattern on the fabric itself. Alright guys, moving right along. We're then moving on to our center back panel, which will have the major extension where our train will be. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, which is to mark around the initial pattern, then make the extension, and basically mark our points that we want to connect. So I am going to then take my straight ruler and connect all of these points. So at center back, you're going to make an extension as long as you so desire, as long as you want your train to be. And then, just as we did with all the other patterns, we're going to make that extension and we're going to curve it up to match our side panels. The only difference between working with this panel is that the distance between our side and our center back will be much larger, much longer, because remember, this is a train that we're working on. So in order to do this, we cannot utilize a ruler because the ruler would just be too short. So I'm going to do a bit of a free hand curving here. So after we've made the connection from the side down to center back, we're going to find the halfway point. As you can see, it's about 20 inches halfway, and I'm going to make an extension outwards. You can make as wide of an extension as you so desire. I made about 4 inches wide, and I'm going to then connect this point to center back. So I'm just trying to work in sections so that the curving is so much easier, and our train will be left looking wonderful. So at this point, I'm just trying to freehand the curve that I'd like, and then I'm just going to start at the top and make the extension all the way down. So we're basically creating the train here. Guys, the pattern paper is so long that it is out of frame, but I'm going to give you guys a look at how it turned out. Just follow my instructions and you will do perfectly fine. So we're just going to continue to do a freehand curve at the back here, and I'm going to show you how it looks all the way up to the top, and then we're just going to curve in the sides. So just use your discretion on how long you want your train to be, how curvy you want it to be, and just draft it out and it will come together perfectly. I'm then going to move on to cutting out this pattern, and listen, it is so bulky. You'll definitely need to have a large space to basically work with when you're doing it. But yes guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. We've come to the end and our patterns are all cut out. Be sure to check out my wedding dress series, which will be on my channel, where you see me utilize all of these patterns that I created to ultimately put together a wedding dress for a client of mine. Thank you once more for watching my video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you're not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in my next video.